In Sherleaf by J. Pilgrim, An Estranged Father, A Daring Escape, and an unforgettable road trip through New Zealand collide in a tale of second chances. Bob Chambers is a man running from his past, but a mysterious spirit guide, Sherleaf, and his daughter, Mary, may just lead him toward redemption. Gritty, emotional, humorous, and packed with suspense, Sherleaf is a powerful exploration of family, forgiveness, and the fight for a better future. Will Bob earn his second chance, or will darkness claim him forever? Chapter 6. A Desperate Escape. Deep in the haze of his dreamy thoughts, something stirred. A voice. Not a voice exactly, but something beyond sound, beyond words. Whispered at the edge of his consciousness? A memory? No, a presence. Sherleaf, the spirit guide who had come to him in the coma, a towering, otherworldly figure wreathed in white light, its eyes like the deep blue sea, its voice monotone, yet carrying the weight of eternity. You have a choice, Bob Chambers. Make things right or go down to the underworld. Bob scoffed in his stirring dream. Too late for that, mate. No. The voice had pressed. You have 3 days, starting when you wake. 3 days to drive your daughter to Auckland and make things right with your wife. They must forgive you. They must find you trustworthy. If you succeed, you will be granted a longer life. 3 days? Bob had queried. And what? I can't just take a plane? No planes. You must drive. Bond with her. Show her who you are. If by the close of the 3rd day she believes in you, you will be spared. If not, if you fail. The vision twisted, fire licking at the edges of his sight, the pull of something dark dragging him downward. You will belong to the underworld. Bob's eyes fluttered open to a sharp, sterile brightness. The ceiling above him was unfamiliar, a blank white void with harsh fluorescent lights buzzing softly overhead. The antiseptic smell of the hospital clawed at his senses, mingling with a dull, aching throb in his ribs. Every breath came with a sting, a cruel reminder of the accident. He tried to move, but his body protested. His limbs felt heavy, sluggish, as if they belonged to someone else. A sharp jolt of pain lanced through his skull as he turned his head, and he groaned. No one was in the room. No nurse monitoring his condition. No cop stationed outside his door. No one keeping him here. Panic gnawed at the edges of his mind. He didn't have time for this. He had to get out. He had to find Mary. The thought of his daughter jolted him upright, sending waves of dizziness crashing over him. He gritted his teeth, ignoring the nausea, and swung his legs over the side of the bed. Across the room, in a small open wardrobe, a fellow patient's clothes hung neatly on a rail. Bob forced himself up, grunting through the pain, and limped over. His hospital gown flapped against his bruised body as he yanked a faded blue checkered shirt, a pair of loose-fitting gray trousers, and a pair of scuffed white sneakers with frayed laces from the wardrobe. The shirt smelled faintly of antiseptic, while the trousers hung loosely on his frame. The sneakers were worn down at the heels, the rubber peeling slightly, but they would do. Dressing in quick, jerky movements, he winced as the fabric pressed against his sore ribs, but he pushed through the discomfort. He had no time to waste. Then he saw it. A white coat, pristine and folded over the back of a chair. A doctor's coat. His lips curled into something resembling a grin. Perfect. He slipped the coat on, rolling his shoulders despite the stabbing pain, and straightened up. The reflection in the window showed a gaunt, unshaven face, dark circles hollowing his already sharp eyes. He looked nothing like a doctor, but desperation had a way of making people believe what they wanted to. Bob stepped out into the hallway, his heart hammering against his ribs. The hospital corridor stretched ahead, its walls lined with wheelchairs and mobile carts. A nurse bustled past him, barely sparing him a glance. The coat was working. Keeping his movements steady, he walked with forced confidence, nodding slightly at a passing orderly. Every step sent another bolt of pain through his body, but he kept going. A father's gamble. Bob moved down the stark hospital corridor, his breath tight in his chest, each step calculated, precise. The white doctor's coat draped over his stolen clothes helped him blend in, but his pulse thundered as he approached the waiting area. He had no real plan. Only instinct, desperation, and 3 days to right his wrongs. Then he saw her. Bob pulled back to the corner wall and peeked around. Mary sat stiffly in one of the plastic chairs, her small frame dwarfed by the too large sweatshirt she wore. Her arms were wrapped around herself, her gaze lowered to the floor, shoulders hunched inward like she was trying to disappear. Next to her, the Ministry for Children caseworker, a woman in her late 40s with short, sharp bangs and a clipboard clutched in her lap, kept glancing at the clock. Impatient. Distracted. With a sigh, she pushed herself to her feet, smoothing out the creases in her blouse. "Mary, stay here, all right? I need to use the bathroom. I'll only be a few minutes." Her tone was firm but indifferent, as if she didn't expect any trouble. She reached down, lifting her handbag from her shoulder and placing it on her chair. "Keep an eye on my bag, okay?" she added, giving Mary a quick, absent-minded smile before turning away. Without waiting for a response, she strode off down the hall, her heels clicking against the linoleum floor, leaving Mary alone in the waiting area. Bob inhaled deeply, adjusting the lapels of the white coat as he stepped quietly into the waiting area, keeping his head down, moving past the desk as though he belonged. He slid into the chair just behind Mary, his hands resting on his knees, his voice low and steady. "Mary." She flinched. Her body went rigid, her breath hitching as she turned her head slowly, eyes wide with recognition and fear. Bob swallowed. He had expected that. He deserved that. "Don't scream. Don't run," he whispered urgently. "I'm not here to hurt you." Mary's lips parted, but no sound came. Her eyes darted in the direction of the restroom. Bob leaned in, lowering his voice further. "I need you to listen to me. We're leaving, kid. Right now. I'm taking you to your mom in Auckland. We're driving up together. Just you and me." Mary stiffened further, pressing herself against the chair. "No," she whispered back. "No, I can't," shaking her head. Mary's fingers gripped the fabric of her sweatshirt, her breathing unsteady. "Mum said. Mum said I should stay here with this lady." Bob clenched his jaw. "Your mum doesn't know what this place is like, Mary. She doesn't know they're just going to pass you from house to house, strangers deciding what's best for you. You really want that?" Her eyes flickered with doubt. She hesitated, her small hands fidgeting. Bob saw it, the tiny crack in her resolve. He pushed gently. Bob leaned in closer. "Listen, kid, I know I don't deserve your trust, not after everything. But this is me trying. I swear to you, I'm not here to mess this up. I just want to get you to Auckland, to your mom. I need to do this. For you, for her, for us." Mary's lower lip quivered. "How do I know you won't just hurt me again, or hurt Mom?" Her voice was barely above a whisper, but each word hit like a blade. Bob exhaled slowly, the weight of her words pressing against his chest. "I won't. I swear to you, I won't. That's not who I want to be anymore." Mary studied his face, searching for any crack, any sign of deception. "Do you even want me?" she asked, her voice raw from years of abuse. "Or am I just an excuse?" Bob's throat tightened. The truth was, for so long, he hadn't wanted to be a father. He had run from responsibility, from love, from everything that mattered. But here, now staring into his daughter's frightened eyes, he knew the answer. "I want you, Mary," he said, his voice thick. "I always should have. I was too stupid to see it before. But this is my chance to fix that." Mary hesitated, her fingers tightening around the fabric of her sweatshirt. The fear was still there, the wound's too deep to heal in a moment. But there was something else. Something small, fragile. Hope. Bob continued. Look, I know I've messed up. I know you don't trust me. But I swear to you, I'm doing this for you, for Mum, for all of us. You don't have to say a word, just stand up and walk out with me. I'll handle the rest. Mary looked toward the restroom door. The caseworker would return any minute now. She turned back to Bob, her breathing uneven, her eyes searching his face. Bob softened. It's just a road trip, kid. Just a few days. We drive north, take our time, see some places on the way. I know it sounds crazy, but it's the only way. Mary's throat bobbed as she swallowed. She was terrified. But deep in her eyes, Bob saw something else. Curiosity. Longing. A part of her wanted to believe him, wanted to escape the waiting rooms and government offices, the uncertainty of strangers deciding her fate. 3 days, Bob pressed, his voice almost pleading. That's all I've got. I need to prove I can be better. Please, Mary, let me make this right. For a moment, the silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, Mary exhaled, her fingers unclenching, her body relaxing. Just slightly. Okay, she whispered. Bob felt his heart lurch in his chest. Okay? She nodded once. Hesitant, unsure, but it was enough. All right, kid. Stand up real easy. Walk with me. We keep it quiet. Mary hesitated only a second longer before she rose to her feet, her movements careful, measured. Bob stood too, staying close. As she shifted, his eyes flicked to the chair where the caseworker's handbag sat unattended. In one smooth motion he lifted it, tucking it beneath the folds of his white coat. It was a risk, but it could have something useful. Cash, car keys, maybe even a phone. Together they moved toward the exit, slipping past the desk unnoticed. Bob kept his head down as they stepped through the doors and into the open air. He exhaled sharply, his pulse roaring in his ears. They were out. Now the real journey began. The getaway. Bob led Mary through the hospital car park, his pulse pounding with every painful step. He kept a firm but careful grip on her hand, glancing around for security or anyone who might question them. The cold morning air bit at his skin, and the scent of damp pavement mixed with car exhaust clung to the air. "Where's her car?" Bob murmured, scanning the rows of vehicles, his breath clouding in the crisp air. Mary hesitated, then pointed toward the far end of the lot. "There," she whispered. Bob followed her gaze. The car was a white government vehicle, the side emblazoned with the bold blue and green logo, Oranga Tamariki, Ministry for Children. Bob's fingers tightened around the stolen handbag he had tucked under his coat. "All right, let's go." They moved quickly, Mary staying close, her breath shallow with nervous energy. Bob fished the keys from the bag as they reached the car, his hand steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He pressed the unlock button, the lights flashing in response. With a quick scan of the lot, he yanked the door open and ushered Mary inside before sliding uncomfortably into the driver's seat. The moment the door shut, Mary's small hands clenched together in her lap. She shifted uncomfortably in the passenger seat, eyes darting around as if expecting someone to appear and drag her out at any second. Bob shoved the key into the ignition. The engine turned over with a smooth hum, the dashboard lights flickering to life. His fingers tightened around the steering wheel. This is it. No turning back. "Where are we going?" Mary asked, her voice small. Bob glanced at her, then in the rear-view mirror. North. Straight out of Wellington. "We can't take the highway near the transport center. Too many cameras, too many cops. We'll take the back roads. We'll get to Auckland without anyone stopping us." Mary swallowed hard. "Will they come after us?" Bob sighed. "Probably, but we'll be ahead of them. We stick to small towns, stay off the radar, and we'll be fine." Mary didn't respond right away. She stared out the window, her reflection faint against the glass, her expression unreadable. Finally, she asked, "Why are you really doing this?" Bob exhaled through his nose, gripping the wheel tighter. "Because I have to. Because I need to fix this. And because I don't want you growing up being afraid of me, or worse, hating me. It's true. I didn't care. But now I do." Mary was quiet for a long moment, then she looked at him with searching eyes. "Do you care about me?" Bob met her gaze briefly. "More than you know, kid." Mary nodded slowly, pulling her 10-year-old knees up to her chest, still wary but no longer trembling. Bob pressed the accelerator, the car rolling out of the lot and onto the quiet morning streets of Wellington. With the hospital shrinking in the rear-view mirror, they drove north, toward whatever awaited them on the road ahead. Bob's mind raced faster than the car. He had to get married to Auckland before the 3 days expired. She was his daughter. She belonged with him, not some government agency. The streets blurred past, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. The pain in his body was secondary now, drowned beneath the burning urgency in his chest. He had to get his daughter back to Kate and rebuild their family, no matter what it took. Bob gripped the steering wheel tighter as he navigated through the suburban streets of Wellington. His hands were clammy, his body aching, but none of that mattered now. His mind was fixed on one thing: getting Mary to trust him and learn to love her as he should have always done. Hi, stay updated on J. Pilgrim's releases by following him on this channel. Join a community of fiction lovers who are inspired, entertained, and transformed by the works of J. Pilgrim. Like, subscribe, and share this series. See you in the next episode.